Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Hey, how y'all doing? What's going on, everybody? How you doing? How are you? Welcome in. Let me welcome in everybody. Um, so I'm going to come from the beginning. Hi, hi, hi. It's Gamma's World and the Gnobic Globe. What's going on, Geraldine Kidd? What's up, retired school teacher? Get your mama, Miss D Mac, Sabrina Thought, Maisha, get Sabrina Thoughts of Love, and the Gnobic Glow. Take a deep breath. Get your mama, Maisha. It's Gamma's World. Everybody saying hello. Kimmy0623, welcome in. It's everybody. I thought I saw some other Judge Fee TV, Rita Williamson, Retinas K Pop. How you doing? Miss D Mac. How y'all doing? Good, good, good. Welcome in. So I'm gonna run right quick. And so I was talking to myself the entire time. Um, so what I want to talk about is traffic violations, right? And in every state, it is different. I wrote tickets, traffic tickets, or any type of violations in South Carolina, right? That's where, so each state has their own ordinance, their own codes, where they write tickets. So one infraction or one misdemeanor may be different when it comes to traffic in another state, right? So every state is different. That's why you got to know your state laws, your state ordinance, your county ordinance, and everything else, right? So earlier today, they were talking about infractions and misdemeanors. And even though in many cases, I try to bring the information hey, whether you support the person or not, whether it is what it is, I want to make sure everybody get that information out, right? Just to have some insight into what is being said. And so I kind of looked up California as well. California is much different than South Carolina, and then it may be much different in your state as well. So when we talk about an infractions in California it's not considered a crime. It's very minor traffic infraction, running a red light, speeding at a certain speed. You're not speeding in excessive, reckless driving, speeding. So infractions are not considered criminal in the state of California. They're minor traffic violations, right? Very minor traffic violations, but can turn into something serious if you fail to appear in court or repeated offenses, right? So it starts out very minor. It's not a crime, but can it become something serious? Like anything. If I give you a traffic ticket for jaywalking, you don't show up to court. Of course, what's going to happen, and you may have a warrant issued your arrest for failure to appear after a while. So that's when it can get serious, on a failure to appear, right? On a failure to appear, that's when it comes serious. So you can get a minor ticket. You can get a ticket for speeding 10 miles over the speed limit. You don't show up to that court date, and then they give you another chance to show up. You're more than likely going to get a warrant arrest issued for your arrest, right? Then you don't show up, then you contempt of court, and then that's when it becomes more serious, right? So this is when an infraction becomes serious, but it's not a crime. It's not a considered criminal. It's an infraction, right? So in California, what they're saying here is that infraction, this includes speeding and running a red light. There are two types of California traffic tickets. Then you got the misdemeanor traffic tickets, including driving without a license, driving drunk, and excessive speeding. So you got two different types. Which is quite funny, right? This is quite different. There are two different types of California traffic tickets. One is infractions and one is misdemeanor. Misdemeanors are more serious. They can carry up to a year in prison and serious fines, right? You Regarding traffic violation, many tickets in California fall under infractions, which you cannot be jailed for. So you're not going to go to jail for an infraction. You're not going to go to jail for an infraction. When you're going to go to jail for an infraction is when that officer when that judge issue a warrant for your arrest for failure to appear, right? A fine is what you typically pay for an infraction, right? There's no prison time or probation time for infraction because they're considered petty offense. They're considered petty offense, so infractions are considered petty offenses, very minimum, no jail time, none of that, right? Failure to appear, like I said before, for your initial court hearing, will not issue a warrant for your arrest. They may still hold your license, suspending your Department of Motor Vehicle driving privileges on your initial offense. Sooner or later, they say on your initial failure to appear. It's going to get serious after that because you're going to get a warrant for your arrest eventually. And they're going to suspend your driver's license. So then now you're driving without a suspended driver's license. Now you're into what is considered misdemeanor. Driving with a suspended driver's license, reckless driving, driving DUI. These are your or hit and run. These are your misdemeanor traffic offenses in California, right? So we're getting a little bit more serious. This is years. This can carry up to a year or more in prison, right? Uh, Type of misdemeanor traffic offenses: running from a police officer. This carries up to a day in a year. Up to a year. 364. Nope. Oh, up to a year. Not 364 in a day. Up to 364 days in prison. $1,000 fine. Disability placard misuse is a misdemeanor. That means you're letting somebody use your placard card. You're in possession of a placard card that's not yours. You're using someone else's placard card. You drove someone else's disability placard card, automobile parked in a handicapped spot. 1,000 to 1,500 in fines. 6 months sentence in jail. Lucky Charms, let me go ahead and say hello to everybody. Candy Jones, what's up? Lucky Charms, what's going on? Get Your Mama, what's going on? T1000, in the know with Glow. How you doing? It's Gamma's World. Everybody, Lucky Charm, how are you doing? Just checking on you. Is she acting like she's squeaky clean? Not. You know, the thing about it is, whether she's acting or not, she had, and like I said, we're not going to drop any names in here, guys. Just giving y'all some information as well. Hey, Seretness K-Pop, Chris Salza, Warren G, Maisha, Christine Ashley, T1000 in the house. How you doing? How you doing, everybody? Let me make Vicky Gail Harris, making sure Candy Jones. I got everybody. I got 290 people in the chat. Lisa B in the know with Glow. Y'all hit the like button, please. She got one crime and there's though, but it's got raised by the daughter. The misdemeanor. I don't know. Allegedly, I heard misdemeanor. That could be something serious. That carries a little bit more than an infraction. Infractions are very minor, but if there's a misdemeanor traffic offense, the misdemeanor traffic offense is driving without a legal license, hit and run causing an injury or death, reckless driving. Now, reckless carries defense for misdemeanor traffic violation. Okay, those are the defense. A 90-day prison term is normally in a reckless driving. Now, reckless driving here in South Carolina, you can get arrested right there. 20 miles, I think reckless could be considered 20 miles and over, if I can remember. 20 miles and over, you're going to get arrested right there. That officer has the right in South Carolina, that officer in South Carolina, if you're 20 miles and over, has the right to arrest you on the spot for reckless driving, right? Failure to stop for a blue light, that is also a jailable offense, right? So reckless failure to stop for a police officer is a misdemeanor in California. Hit and run with causing injury is a misdemeanor traffic offense. Driving without a legal driver's license is a misdemeanor offense. Disability placard misuse, running from an officer. These are types of misdemeanor offenses in California. It's 20 here in Mississippi. 20 here. Okay, 20 is 42 likes and 198 in the chat. Well, I appreciate it. If I got so many 198 people in the chat, can I get some likes? You're getting educated here. You're getting educated here. So that's what I wanted to share. So we can have some insight, because we talk about a lot of things, and sometimes I just want to make sure, I don't have to, but I like doing things like this. I like having more information. I like researching so I can have a clear understanding of what we're talking about. So infractions and misdemeanors in California, again, like I said, every state is different. Every state way differently. So you can't judge your state about what happened in your state with the state of California or the state of South Carolina. The best you can do is just kind of know your information, research it if you want to know. But infractions are not criminal in California. They become criminal after a while. I guess not after the initial failed appearance, but after a while, you don't show up. I read somewhere else that it can turn into a warrant after a minute or so. After not a minute, after a while, it can turn into a warrant if you just don't show up, and the judge want to get you before them. I'm trying not to think about the circus activity going on around me, says Lucky Charm, and that's good. You know what, Lucky Charm, I know. I hope everything is well. I know you're doing the best you can. Hang in there. Prayers are still with you. Wow. Understandable, says T1000. It's probably like $50 here. I know for a reckless driving here, jailable offense, more than $50 fine. Let's see. Y'all gotta remember. I'm thinking. I gotta remember because I'm looking at memory from years ago. Let me think. We had something called NVSR or something like that. When you get a when you have traffic tickets that you fail to pay, on each traffic ticket, they put $350 on every traffic ticket you fail to pay and show up. So I remember this. In South Carolina, when you issued a traffic citation or a citation for any offense and you failed to show up to court, they used to have this thing where the state will put $350 on top of each ticket. $350 on top of each ticket. And this was so when I pulled you over and I said, okay, you got unpaid tickets. You got 10 unpaid tickets. You're going to tell me those tickets were like $25 a piece. Then I'm going to tell you the state put $350 on top of those tickets. 7 times $350. You need to. I'm about to take you to jail, and now you're going to have to come up with over $2,000 plus the fines, plus the $350 that the state, I don't even know if they still do this, put on top of each ticket. Imagine how that person cried. Imagine how that person cried when they got stopped. They had 7 unpaid tickets. Those 7 unpaid tickets could have probably reached up to about $300. But the state of South Carolina, as I stated for you guys earlier, put $350 on top of each ticket. That person that could get out of jail for $300, paying the fines, or whatever the judge say the next morning, also now had to come up with over $2,000. That's how it used to be when I was writing tickets. And they're like, I only got $300. No, sir. State of South Carolina said you owe them $2,000 plus dollars. So that's how it used to be. Like I said, it's been many, many moons since I've been out here. I've been a police officer. I'm not sure if they still do that today, but that used to be what? Imagine you only having 3 tickets out there, and all of a sudden you got buku fines. So that's how South Carolina used to do it. I don't know if they do it like that in other states. And as I stated before, tickets are like a courtesy. Citations are courtesy bonds. You actually are being released by the action of the officer. You're not guilty at all. The officer is now accusing you of a crime that he said that he's a witness of, or somebody reported, and he has enough evidence to go ahead and say this is enough to take to court, to take you in, or to write a citation. He releases you on that citation when you sign that ticket. Remember now, you do sign that citation. That is stating that you are aware of the date and the time of the court appearance. You can elect to either pay the ticket prior to the court date, which is your admission that, hey, I'm guilty, right? Or you can choose to show up in court and plead your case. And you can ask for a jury trial or ask for the bench trial, whatever you want. All right? But you have a court date. That is, you have been released on bond. But the only thing is, the officer doesn't take any money anymore. And I told y'all why that happened in the state of South Carolina. Because back in the day, even before I became a police officer, officers would collect the money on the street. You pull somebody over, you charge them with speeding, the officer say, you can pay me now, or you can come to court. The person give the officer cash money. Guess what was happening? Unfortunately, the cash money wasn't making it. People, they were stealing the bond. That's how you end up going to court now and paying the bond to the judge instead of the officer taking the money from you on the street. If anybody remember, being back in the day, maybe in the 70s and 80s, you pay the officer on the street. 70s, maybe early 80s and 70s. Capricorn, Sam in Michigan, and you can get your driver's license taken from a moving violation. That's why I pay any ticket I got. I'm not playing with the courthouse, says Alex Lane. In Maryland, you can't renew your license with unpaid ticket. Oh no, you can't. It's probably going to be suspended after a minute. 63 likes, 224 in the chat. When y'all ask nicely to hit the like button, y'all fall off. That's what happens. They're not here, and that's okay, Warren G. That's okay. I appreciate you doing that. They're not my audience. They're coming. They stopping by, it's okay. It's cool. You're so right from someone who had personal information. It's better. You know what? I wouldn't say it's better not to pay it. Here's how I believe. I'm gonna give y'all something right here. When you're pulled over by a police officer, you don't have to admit guilt. You never admit guilt unless you're guilty. Now, I would still say don't admit guilt. You can still go to court. I wouldn't. This is what you do. When the officer walks up to you and asks you, you know how fast you're going? No. Do you recognize you're speeding? No. You do not. This is now an investigation. Now he's taking information. What you say then will be used against you in the court, right? So why are you asking questions? So when they ask you questions, I choose not to answer. Because if he's going to write the ticket, let him write the ticket. Do you know how fast you're going? When you go 55 and 40, you just, okay. If you choose to admit, in which I have done, hey, I'm sorry, I have done it. I have intentionally just said, you know what? I apologize. I wasn't aware. I just trying to get somewhere, and they've let me go. They have, hey, you're being honest. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody, but, and many times, it has worked. Just being polite, being honest, and saying, and you still may get a ticket. That's just may be the nature of the beast. But many times for me, just being honest. But do I say admit to anything? No. I said I'm being honest. But if you don't have to. You can say, hey, I don't know. Well, you're speeding. Do you? Hey, Lady D in chat. Hey, Melina Rice. How are you? Portia Hogan. How are you? Warren G. How you doing? Melanie Rice. How are you doing? So if her license is suspended, how can she get insurance? Now, I never said her license was suspended, Rosalind Dickens. I don't know if her license is suspended. I can't answer that question. I have no idea if her license is suspended. I can't say that. I cannot say that. Some people don't drive with insurance. I know when I was in Chicago, I was surprised at how many people didn't have insurance on their vehicle. They didn't drive with insurance. I'm like, what? I met so many people in Chicago that did not, and Illinois overall from different counties that did not have insurance. Alex Lynn said, being honest, being going a long way. Yeah, not gonna guarantee you're not gonna get a ticket, but so I'm just like, yeah, okay, I know when they got me, and so I just go with it. Hey, I'm sorry. I know when I'm speeding. I'm not gonna sit there and argue with the officer. I know what I was doing. Now if he completely wrong about something, now we're gonna go to court. I'm not gonna argue with you on the street. Yeah, a lot of people drive without insurance. I just can't get it. Was down here in South Town, you have to turn your license plate in if you don't have any car insurance. Vicky Gail Harris. Okay, let me think. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of people drive without insurance. A lot of people put somebody else's license plates on their car. I arrested a lot of people in tune when they put license plates on the car. They don't have. It's so many things. Because first of all, if you get caught in South Carolina without insurance, you're not going to drive that vehicle in South Carolina. You going that right there, that vehicle is being towed. You're not now. Let me go back. If you can have let me go. Let me say this. All right, let me say how this would work. If you don't have no proof of insurance and you have a violation, a traffic violation, and you don't have a driver's license, that vehicle is going to be towed. Okay? You can have somebody else pick you up, but more than likely, if there is no insurance on that vehicle and you can't prove it, that vehicle more than likely going to be towed, right? Now there have been cases where if you don't have proof of registration, they'll let you bring it to court. When we meet on that court date, you call me up and you tell me I got my registration, and then that can be dismissed in court. I would have probably, if you brought everything to court when you came, and you can show me on that date that you came, that on the day I stop you, on the day I wrote that ticket, if you can go to your insurance company and they can give you a letter stating that you were covered on the date that I stopped you, more likely I would have went ahead and dismissed that ticket as well. If you brought all documentation to court showing that your documents were in order, you just didn't have them with you, I would dismiss all those tickets in court. I mean, nobody has to be an a-hole. A lot of time we dismiss tickets if you brought stuff to court. Now, whatever infraction that led me to stop you, like speeding, you'll probably pay that. But everything else, secondary, you wouldn't pay. I carry mine. There's a fine here, $250. How would they know unless you get pulled over with no insurance? Because the primary, okay, here's something. All right. Sometimes a primary stop. What is the reason for the stop? Sometimes a traffic violation will allow me to pull you over. And when I walked up to your vehicle, I said, ma'am, sir, can I please see your driver's license, insurance, and registration, please? At that point in time, you have to produce those items. If you cannot produce those items at my request, then there's some other things can happen. And we can have a little talk. What happened? Do you have them? And if not, it's up to the officer's discretion how they want to proceed. A lot of times it's based on your attitude how that officer is going to proceed. Now, if you have no insurance and you're driving, that officer can say, okay, no proof of insurance. A lot of times people can say, well, I do have insurance. I have my driver's license. I have everything. The officer's discretion. And which is hard, because if he lets you go after knowing that you don't have no insurance and something happens, then he can be held somewhat looking like, okay, you let this person drive without insurance, bam. So it's up to the officer at times. Some officers have let people go and said, okay, just bring the insurance to court, bring the information to court. It's up to the officer and also up to the attitude of the person as well. Sometimes your attitude and your behavior and your attitude can play a lot on how that officer reacts sometimes. and how they're going to work with you. Yeah, I live right down the street, your officer. I'll follow you home. You just pull in your driveway, don't drive again. It's things that officers can do. Each officer is different. Some officers can be very nice and help you out along the way. Not every officer is an a-hole. I've been there. I've helped people, along the way as well. So, um, hey, Sandra Jones, the Polite tells that you don't have insurance. Say, oh, okay, Alex Lane. South Carolina is strict, right, Justice? Like for instance, car seatbelts. Seatbelts are secondary in certain states, and seatbelts are primary in certain states. That means some officers won't write a seatbelt unless they're stopping you and then they observe that you didn't have your seatbelt on. And then some people can write you, some states or officers can write you because they can tell you don't have a seatbelt on, and they pull you over for not driving without a seatbelt. So it's according to the states as well. All the officers sometimes. So there's a lot of people in Michigan a lot of people are taking a chance of driving without insurance. I had a lady told me um, one of her neighbors had a brand new truck uninsured, and her son was driving without insurance, and the truck had no insurance. They had a brand new truck, and I don't know how you get a brand new truck without insurance. But she was telling me her son was driving his car. He had a car that had no insurance, and he had an old car, and he ran into this brand new truck, and they didn't have insurance. Y'all know that was a mess. They got to people threatening each other's life and all. People having to move. New York don't play about seatbelts, eh? Yes, Justice Grace has been given to my boys regarding proof of insurance until court date. All charges dismissed. Yeah, that happens, Juskichi. That happens. It's always based, sometimes take in consideration when you're being pulled over sometimes. Just be polite. Have all your information ready. I ain't say admit to anything. Just say, thank you, officer. Here you go, officer. Really? Thank you, sir. Just be polite. It could change the whole outlook sometime. Can't promise you every time, but just being polite and having your stuff together and just, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And you can ask, do you think can you give me a warning this time? I understand what you're saying. You can even ask for a warning. Is there a possible way you could give me a warning? But if you're not going to say anything, don't say anything. They do seatbelt checks here often in Connecticut. They set up roadblocks checking for seatbelts. See, a lot of people are strict about that seatbelt. But like I said, guys, I just wanted to come on here right quick and give you guys some insights on California infractions and misdemeanor. It's definitely different than South Carolina. But infractions are not considered criminal. Misdemeanors are criminal and carry a lot of fines. Infraction carries up to $250. But very minor, very minor. Misdemeanor, I told y'all what misdemeanors were, and they carry a little bit more time and a little bit more serious. Their misdemeanors, yeah, you can go to jail for a couple years on misdemeanors like that here in South Carolina. So, Chris, 10 Ashley, how are you? Capricorn Girl 1. So that's what I wanted to do, guys. Just give y'all some insight. There are no infraction does not lead to jail time unless there is somewhat in a failure to appear in court after a while. But it's not criminal. It does not have jail time behind it. As far as me reading my research, I like to have the information, and I don't mind sharing it so we can all be informed. Infraction, including speeding and running a red light in California. Now, notice to appear. The ticket contains your citation number and court date. By signing a ticket, you agree to appear in court and pay your ticket fine by the court date. You're not guilty if you sign it. Even if you sign the ticket, you're not guilty. You're not admitting guilt. The sign the ticket is that you acknowledge that you have a court date, and California requires you to make an appearance in court. So that's a requirement. And so that is a requirement. Regarding traffic violations, many of California ticket falls under infraction, which means you cannot be jailed for having received one. A fine is typical consequences of a traffic infraction. There is no prison time or probation for infractions because they're considered petty offense. So y'all now know what an infraction is, and then y'all know what a misdemeanor is. And if there's a misdemeanor crime, that is misdemeanor traffic, that is considered a crime, that is considered jailable. I don't know what crimes that person may have committed under a misdemeanor. I have no idea. I have none. If even there was a misdemeanor, only what I heard. And, but we know what the difference is. A misdemeanor ticket indicates an M. So you're going to have an M on your ticket. Now, traffic offenses are expungible. You can get misdemeanors expunged, right? Misdemeanors, you can get expunged in certain states. So there is a way that you can, if you have a misdemeanor, a crime, you can get that expunged after a certain period of time. You can have your record expunged and there'll be no record of your crime. So don't wait a minute. So I'll let you guys know. Convictions, misdemeanors can be expunged. All right? Understand. Misdemeanors can be expunged. Convictions can be expunged. Okay? You can have certain things expunged, so don't sit there. That's a little bit more information for you guys. In the state of Washington, they can pull you over for not wearing a seatbelt. So that's a primary charge there. You got primary and you got secondary. So in many states, seatbelts are primary. That means I don't have no other reason to pull you over. I don't have to wait till you commit a violation in order for me to write you a seatbelt. If I see you don't have a seatbelt on, then I can write you. Thank you guys. I just wanted to share you guys that information. Every state is different. I read you California. I gave you some insight into South Carolina. Know your state guidelines when it comes to traffic violations, misdemeanors, if you're interested. But they're all different from state to state. And like I say, California is quite different than South Carolina. But I'm out of here, guys. I appreciate you guys coming in. Hit the like button coming in and out. And yeah. See? I'm sharing. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.